years ago, I was really like just fighting through the pits of just depression. Not that it's a bad thing, no medication, no nothing.
Welcome to Spiritual Rockstar Podcast, where world changing spiritual entrepreneurs come to deeply awaken the power within to bring forth their greatest purpose, while enjoying being in tune with all life and real wealth in all aspects of their lives. I'm your host, Daniel John Hanneman. And welcome everybody to Spiritual Rockstar Podcast. I'm so grateful to be with you. We have an amazing guest today. He's been on before. He's been on my Just Two Conscious Men Guys Talking, I should say. He's been on Spiritual Rockstar before. He's actually somebody that I really feel is really amazing. Somebody that's been so potent with his, I want to say, with your masculine energy, but he's also a good blend of both, really. But he's got the intensity, he's got the divine feminine energy, he's got the centered energy, he's got the presence energy, and he's here to help the guys, particularly right now, to help you to come back to presence where all the good stuff is, which we talk about all the time on this show one way or another. So I can't wait to hear what you have to share today, AJ.
I'm excited to be here, brother. I'm excited to be with you. I'm excited to see what we get into as well.
All right. All right. I do. The first thing I want to comment on is your energy. Your energy is beaming, particularly today. And, I remember last time interacting with you was you were beaming, but it was more like I could feel more the edges, like a little bit more of that energy is still going on. Hey, I have to just say it as an energy scan tuner inner guy. I'm appreciating the refinement of your energy or whatever, there's some of the shifts that have been happening. I saw the practices you were doing online, with all the sped up film and all the stuff you've been doing. And I know, you're so dedicated is what, I really appreciate highly dedicated leaders in the space of helping people, with coaches, healers, everything. And you're very dedicated. And when I see that extra dedication, it really is something that really I so appreciate.
Thanks, man. Thanks. I think a lot of people think like energy or we can call it an enlightenment or realization or whatever they want to call it, just kind of like happens. Uh, I always remember the story of like Buddha, and I don't remember the exact story. So I'm going to butcher the story, but it'll make my point. He said he went under the tree, he sat there, and then boom, immediately. And that was the day that he decided that, well, I will either sit under this tree and I will self-actualize, I'll self-realize, or I'll just die here. And it wasn't like play for him. It was a very willful decision. I will sit here and I will breathe and I will use the principles of yoga that I have been taught, and these will either carry me into self-actualization, or this body can go fuck itself. Like this was true, like very, very masculine, very willful masculine. But here's the thing that always gets me, because like spiritual teachers, they always say it's like it's just a decision. And I always wonder, because I'm like, yes, and was it his decision, or was it the 12 or 15 years of effort that he had put in prior to the decision that had paved the way for the decision for the rocket ship to finally leave?
Right.
I don't have an answer for this. And what I'm finding in my own practice is just so much grace. Grace, I don't know how to explain it. And yes, it's freely given, but it's also like earned every day. I think today was day 307 for me for Shambhavi Mahamudra Kriya. I went through Sadhguru's program back in November of last year, and I set a goal to be like, okay, I not only am I going to go through and complete the program, but for a year straight, let's see if this shit actually fucking works.
Right.
I can't talk shit about it if I don't implement it. And so I said I will do it every day for a year, unbroken, no excuses. And I've set these things before with my body and X3 and workouts and things of this nature. So it's just kind of, it's not easy, but it's just one of these muscles that I have where I'm like, okay, I will do this one daily thing for a whole year unbroken, and it's done. Now it's just a matter of time of, doing it, and let's see what happens. And so a lot of what I think you're feeling and experiencing, and is the fruit of that. What do you remember the year that you and I last did a podcast? Was it a
That's
year
a
ago,
great
18 months ago,
question.
2 years ago?
It's at least 2 years ago. Yeah, I would say at least 2 years. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, and so 2 years ago, I was really like just fighting through the pits of just depression. Not that it was a bad thing, no medication, no nothing. I also was smoking weed quite a lot. And so there's like but I was still doing the practices, still meditation, still checklist, all the checklist of the stuff, the meditation, the exercise, the journal. Um, but yeah, there's been lots of shifts for me over the past 18 months, which I'm happy to share. But this is where we're at, my friend. This is where we're at.
Yeah, that's fantastic. I didn't know that Sadhguru was, an influence in your life, and now I learned that. And it's funny. I'll catch him on little clips here and there online, and sometimes I roll my eyes. I'm like, this guy, I don't know. And there's other times I'm like, that's really good. Yeah, yeah. Like I get both react. Well, that's pretty much most of the people out there I'm that way with. But yeah, I really appreciate a lot of things he has to share. So anyway, that's fantastic. I mean, to dedicate yourself at that level, because so many people find this idea of discipline to be so hard, especially again the new ager types, like we just want to relax and to kind of go with our flow. And if we want to do it, we'll do it. If we don't want to do it, we'll do it. We won't do it or whatever, whatever. I mean, like just kind of yes, we should have practices, but if the practices doesn't serve today, then we won't do the practice. And like, and it's kind of hilarious because to me there is a power to the disciplines. Really. I mean, you could say a discipline. They would even argue, right? I could make the argument for them. There's a discipline in not being disciplined. So I think it's kind of wild. Who knows what's true, but I find for myself discipline is a master key to sanity, actually. I mean, without some structure, I'm not happy. I'm not happy.
Yeah, I find the same thing. It's like the greatest artists, they find a way to dance this line between chaos and order. And I'm starting to find like even in just like life, like really experiencing life, fully living life, it's very similar. I mean, life is very chaotic, especially you run a business. If you're married, you have children, you have multiple children. People get sick. Like there's all of these things. Like
Right.
there's
You just
chaos.
described my life, basically, right?
And then we have a mind if we will use it to structure it. And I think a lot of people, since we're talking about new agers, not putting all of them in the box, but most of them, I think you're on point. They have been disciplined for so long that they pendulum swing to the other, and it's just like I've been so ordered, I'm going to pendulum swing over to the chaos. And I think there's a season for that probably brings a lot of healing to their heart, but it's not the all-time answer. And it comes back to this like center line piece of like, okay,
Mhm.
well, what's the disciplines? There's no right or wrong. There's so many paths up this mountain of self-actualization, but where do you want to go? Where are you choosing to go? And a lot of people haven't chosen where they want to go. And that's where the discipline comes in, because it's like, okay, well, based upon where you're choosing to go, there are certain disciplines across body, being, balance, and business, where if we will implement these small things on a daily basis, if you will let go of the outcome and do these things, it will take you there. Now, here's the cool
Right.
thing. If you start doing these things and you realize, I actually hate this. Well, this is where truth gets to come in, where you can just admit the truth. I don't enjoy this. Okay. I thought I wanted to go there. Now that I've gone a quarter way up this mountain, I don't like this mountaintop. I see a new vantage point. I'm actually going to go over there now. And you
Mhm.
create the direction and the discipline, and you go there. And this is the journey of life. This is the adventure of all of it.
Right, right. Yeah, totally. I mean, yeah, how many times, I've been at this about 20 years online, and it's like, yeah, I've had different iterations of what I've been doing, throughout that time. I can go strong for a few years, right? Number of years, on one direction. All right, I'm certifying people in energy scan healers, and that's all I really do mostly. And then there's all the, follow-up programs and stuff. But And then, oh, okay, well, wait a minute. It doesn't seem like that's my thing for now. And then, okay, going high level one-to-one. Okay, now I'm going to do a podcast. Now I'm doing this. Now it's always the next thing. Maybe I'm doing more. Maybe I'm going to serve more people, like I always imagine with energy scan training. But maybe I need to open up in a new way, and that's still in process. So, yeah, there's so many opportunities, and yeah, recently I had also had back pain, which I've been, whatever, some semi-public about. I've gone out and talked about it, and a lot of it's wound down. But it's like then now I'm not like committed to this at all, but like it's just an idea that keeps coming to me. I'm like, I'm going to become a world-class athlete now. Like I have to do the opposite of having this condition of being like you can't do much, because of your back. No, I'm stronger. And so I'm just watching where that, intentionality is taking me, right? And so, yes, I think that isn't that the hard part for some people is truly being honest and clear about where they really want to go and what their direction really seems to want to be.
Yeah, for sure. And I was going to ask you, these ideas that come to you, do they come from the mind or they come from like that intuitive voice? I'm just curious.
The world-class athlete, who knows? I mean, it just popped in my mind. So I don't know for, whatever. I could say, oh, that means it's intuition, but I don't know. Just the idea pops out. I don't know that it's literal. I think it's just like going that direction. Because I was like, I could be a world-class athlete in something, So I have
For
had this
sure.
idea of like I don't know why. Like I've always been, I'm so fast with my punches and stuff like that, right? So I'm like, I look up in the Guinness Book of World Records. I'm like, okay, this guy did it in 0.17 seconds. Oh my God, I almost could do that now. Like little training, I could get there, and I'm in my 50s. Look out, here I go. Like, because I measured how fast I am. Like I could be, and then it would be just fun. Not that I need it, but like it'd be fun to say I'm a world class athlete. Look what I did. Like it'd just be fun.
Yeah.
So it's just
Yeah.
that
It,
amuses
it
me.
reminds me of that story from Tim Ferriss. He told in the 4 Hour Work Week where he wanted to be a world champion kickboxer. And so he
Uh-huh.
did a bunch of research and learned that if you push people out of the ring, that you won the match. And
Oh,
so he went
right,
and
right. Yeah,
he
yeah, I
went
remember that now.
he,
Yeah.
went he went and entered and just pushed people out of the ring, and he became a world champion
Figured it out,
kickboxer.
right? Absolutely. Absolutely. There's a way to figure it out. I mean, I think I want to bring my invisible talent into the visible. That's kind of part of what I'm about, right? Like doing the scanning stuff I do, um, and then helping other people to learn how to do it. Like, okay, no, don't idolize me because of what these things I do. Like, you can do this too. No way can I do that. That's usually the main impediment is they don't believe they can do it. And I'm like, yeah, you can. And then when they, like all those same people, if they come into training, basically all of them can do it. It's like they can do it right away too. And they start not being
Sure.
able to deny that anymore, right? All the fears around letting that loose come out of the woodwork, and we move through that really quick because you just can, and there's the safety and permission to do it, and to get out there and help people with being able to see people more deeply and clearly and help them in that way. So that to me is why I'm so excited to help people, because we really are so perceptive. We're picking up on so much. We think like, what do I know? I don't know what's going on in the world. Yes, yeah, you could if you were just to get centered, right? Back to the center line stuff. Like you just get centered, you'd be so much more aware. Like you would be realize your infinite awareness of everything. Like you've got an infinite awareness of everything. It's a matter of whether or not you're willing to presence that, like that awareness that, yeah, I kind of get the sense of this or that, like just to slow down enough to realize it. So I loved your story about with Buddha, like, because yeah, I got Buddha behind me, and a lot of times people think about Buddha, oh, just yeah, just no desires, just sit here, yeah, yeah. But that's not really how he approached it, right? Based on how you were describing it, especially, right? But like, I'll sit here no matter what, we're gonna break through. That's a very masculine way. Like, it's not what the way you would think Buddha would be based on how it's portrayed and such images and whatnot, right? Just like, no desires, no nothing. I'm just here. I'm in the eternal. Yeah, there's a lot more to it.
Well, one of the things I've learned from Sadhguru that I really like is he talks about how like very few people have the capacity to just sit in meditation with that level of intensity to just really be there, like really to really be there joyfully and intensely, not like, oh, I'm just doing it for the sake of doing it, but full on devotion, full on intention, whatever
Right.
practice, whether we're anapana, whether we're kriya, like I don't care what the practice is, but full on, intensity. Few people have that. So it's like, okay, and maybe it's due to past karma and their mind. We could go on to all of these things of why, but it doesn't matter. But the point is like there's an intensity for life, and everybody really wants this intensity, but few are willing to put in some of the work, the effort. And this comes back to, because you asked, it's like, well, how do we get clarity? Because lots of people struggle on clarity. Where do I want to go? And well, we can't go anywhere until, number one, we live in truth. Truth isn't transcending, like, we talked about, like, or this, okay, well, I need to like get centered. I need to transcend the level of pain I'm in and get quiet and centered. Maybe, but maybe the pathway to getting there is telling the truth of like, man, I fucking hate my life right now. Or I'm like so miserable in my marriage that I feel like we're fucking roommates and I'm just fucking sick and tired of it. Or, man, I love my children, but God, they're a pain in the ass. Like, how do we find a sense of connection? Because the morning is just like bumpy as fuck. Like, this is truth. Now I'm talking very crude and very rudimentary, because emotionally as men, but even women, but especially men, this is how the inner dialogue is happening. And yet we also run this talk track of like, oh, no. Can't let anybody see this. I need to keep this shit together. It's like, come on, dude. Like, we're humans. We're just humans relating with life. And life itself is this intense experience when you're really with it. And if we stay hiding from truth out of guilt or shame, which many of us do, myself included at times, I'm getting better and better at it, then I can just tell the truth of inside my journal or to myself or in the mirror. My journal is one of my favorite places every day of just truth. Sometimes there's sadness, sometimes there's grief, sometimes there's fear, sometimes there's doubt, sometimes there's joy, sometimes there's bliss, sometimes there's gratitude. There's typically more fear, more doubt, more, for me, more worry, like, but I'm with it every day. I choose to be like, this is where I'm at. But then I take it and then I have a conversation with what I would call God, but somebody could call it whatever they want. I don't care what they call it. They can call it Muhammad. They can call it universe, spirit, nothing, a copper bottle. I don't care what you call it. But enter into a conversation to be like, okay, how do you see I could change this? What's one thing I could do today? And then like receive, just like intuitively, just take what you get, even if it doesn't make sense, and just write the response and have this back and forth conversation on a daily basis until you land and be like, all right, I feel complete. Just like if you and we're having a conversation right now, but if we're having a more in-depth conversation, there would be a back and forth, back and forth, back and forth, probably you talking a lot, me listening a lot until we felt complete. I would like fill some questions, right? And we would go back and forth until we're like, all right, well, we're here, aren't we? We are. All right, well, where do you want to go? Oh, great question. Oh, I actually don't know. All right, well, let's sit with that one for a bit and have a conversation about. And we keep working at this. And if we keep working at this, eventually there's something within us that goes, yeah, I want to go north. I want to go there. Well, why do you want to go there? I just want to go there. But we have to own the truth of where we're at across our bodies and our businesses and our being, our connection to God and our balance, our relationships. And we also have to own the truth of where we actually want to go, not because of what society says or our parents say, or even religious conditioning or new age conditioning or the latest influencer on Instagram, or like, who gives a fuck? Where I want to go because I want to go there. Like that took me a lot of courage. And I find lots of men, especially right now, they've gone on a journey where they have a life where they have most of everything that they said they wanted, especially if they're American and they're been high performers and they're in their 40s-ish, 50s, 60s. And they're like, but I'm just not as happy like as I thought it would be. So like deep down, there's almost like I don't even know if I can trust myself to pick a new direction, because what if I do and I just recreate this whole shithole again?
Right.
This requires telling truth again. Ah, yeah. All right. But until we unpack it not through trauma, not but just unpack it until we pull all back the layers and we're just with it. Once we're with it, now we can move. And a lot of men, especially high performing men, they've been indoctrinated to think that there is some magical there that will be better than this here.
Right.
And this is all of the spiritual practices, at least from my understanding. The whole point is just to just enjoy right here. I feel depressed. I can feel joy and depression at the same time.
Yeah.
I can feel tired and excited at the same time. That doesn't mean like every day is joyous and amazing. It just means every day I have a feeling, I have thoughts. I'm not my thoughts. I'm also not my emotions. I'm not my body. I'm not my mind. I'm this thing that's beyond it. So now there's a space between, oh, look at these thoughts. Look at these emotions. If I keep identifying with either of them or both of them, then I just kind of keep looping and looping and looping and looping. But if I can create some space, and this is why for me, the practice of meditation has been very powerful, and journaling. Now I can consciously choose to respond to this. I can feel depressed and still move north if this is where I'm choosing to go. This comes back a bit to the discipline piece, but for me, it's not even a discipline anymore. It's almost just like a devotion to the journey, to the devotion to just my journey. I saw this thing the other day and it blew my mind because I never actually knew this. And it was this 3D rendering of how our solar system actually works. And I remember in school, it was just like you had the sun and then you had the planets that orbit the sun, right? And it's kind of like the sun is stationary in the universe and then the planets orbit around it. At least that's how I understood it from school. But this model said, well, let's take this thing and flip it on its edge. And what's really happening is the sun is moving through the galaxy and the planets are spinning around it, like in a spiral, in a certain, And I was like, holy shit, that makes more sense. And I remember in Texas one day, I was out walking the dog and I looked up at the sun and I was like, oh, I just need to be more like the sun. I just be masculine like the sun and just give light and give myself. Like the sun doesn't care if I receive it. Why do I care if my wife or my daughter receives me? Why do I care if the marketplace receives me? The sun is just being the sun. That's masculine as fuck. Huh. But now with this picture of, okay, this ball of energy moving, well, this is my responsibility every day. Not to use meditation and the spiritual practices to transcend the earth, to get away from the pain of the earth. I mean, fuck, if I did that, I probably wouldn't have incarnated in this lifetime. There's probably a reason my soul incarnated as a human being, and it's not to escape the experience of being a human.
Right.
If I don't get that, then I'm probably going to be reincarnating here over and over and over and over again until I get that.
Yeah, you got to do it again now. Yeah.
So why not be here, engage with this life, and consciously create it how I choose to experience it? That doesn't mean I have to like everything I experience. All of it is still made. If I surrender to life itself, if I surrender to the mother, this one's a hard one, then I know I'm always taken care of, not based upon what I think is best, but based upon this relational aspect of God, we'll call it the mother, thinks is best. This sounds not crazy, but let me make it land. You have children. I have a daughter. And so sometimes when I start reading these things or I have these thoughts or downloads or insights, I pull it back into how I, as a limited human father, relate to my daughter, a limited human female. And I remember like in Christian scripture, Jesus talks about like, I go ahead of you to prepare the way for you, or I've gone before you to prepare the way for you. I remember growing up and hearing the scripture, and it's like, all right, so I grew up a Church of Christ, super conservative. And so it's like, oh, this life is terrible and miserable. One day we have a better life, which never made sense to me. I'm just like, so we just like church around here? The fuck are we doing it? Anyway, doesn't matter. So it set a foundation for me, I guess you could say. So here I have the scripture in my mind. I'm like, okay, well, what does this really mean? And as I thought about it and I really sat with it, and I was like, could it be true that this thing called Christ consciousness, the one that's with one with everything, that pervades all things, that's just good, really does go before me? Do I go ahead of my daughter to prepare the way for her? I do the best I can. I mean, I go to the grocery store, I buy her food. She doesn't ask me to buy her food. I mean, sometimes she does, but rarely. I pre-plan. My wife and I buy her food. We moved to Spain because I wanted her to be able to walk to meet her friends and be in a different environment. She didn't ask. We made this decision. That was an executive decision to that. We paid for private school, this very nice international Waldorf school. It's amazing. So I'm going before her, preparing the way for her. Now, every day, does she still think that I don't do enough for her? She does. Does she is she snappy because she wants it this way? She wants to watch more YouTube, or she wants to do this or that. And my wife and I are like, no, yes, of course. And that's for me when I got it, because I was like, holy shit, I do the same thing in relationship to the divine. So it is
Mm.
possible that the divine is and has always gone before me to plan a way for me. I'm just not willing to receive it. So then I brought even more practical. I'm like, what would make my daughter the most amazing daughter ever? And it would be her being like, Dad, thank you so much for all that you do for me. My life is just so good. And I'm like, holy shit. So this is the gratitude piece that all of the spiritual teachers talk about.
Mm-hmm.
But that means I get to get out of my own way and start really being curious. How could this be working for me? Another real life example. My wife and I are in the midst of going through a surrogacy for our second child, because my wife had cancer 3 or 4 years ago. And so she can't really have children, but she wants another child. And so this is kind of, she could potentially, but I don't know, it could anyway. So this is the path of chosen. Well, we went through all this, and for the past 6 weeks, we did all the paperwork, paid all the money, and we needed them shipped from Texas to the country of Georgia, the embryos that we have. And the facility was like, we're not going to do it in Texas. We're not going to do it. My wife's mad. She's like, for 6 weeks, they've been dragging me along, and rightfully so. And I was just like, okay. And she's like, you don't even care. I do care. It's just like, again, there's this belief. What if even this is like working for us? Let me do some research. Let me see what our legal ways of navigating. Let me consciously respond to this rather than just being reactive to it all.
Mm-hmm.
So, did some research, and that day, the facility emailed her and was like, we got it. Sorry, a little mixed up on our part. We're good. So we're in the process of being good at the moment. My whole point is just like, what if everything is actually working for us?
Right.
But can we also then do our part to like really tell the truth and engage with it as well?
Do you want to meditate and make money? Let it be simple. Let it be easy. Let it be fun. Go to yoursacredpurpose.com and get your free meditate, make money meditation today.
What are your
Right.
thoughts about this? Let's have a
Yeah,
dialogue about this.
exactly. Yeah, exactly. I mean, I've been at this for a while, so that idea is definitely like one that's been around forever. I mean, because I really believe like we create that experience for ourselves based on our viewpoint more times than not, right? Like, okay, my viewpoint, it's a disaster, nothing's gonna work out. There's some people that are like that. They just play that game and everything still works out for them, right? But most people, like when they talk like that, they're creating that future for themselves, right? Like, and in the meantime, either way, in the meantime, you're all caught up in that kind of story, right? Oh, this is not no good. So yeah, I mentioned about something kind of challenging. I didn't give the specific, but something kind of challenging happened late this morning over here, and I'm like, oh God, really? Like, it's one of those things that comes up in life where you just something hits you, and you're like, oh, really? Oh, jeez, yeah. And then it's like, then it's good though because then it has me review like all right, like, listen, you haven't been doing this, you haven't been doing that, and then you just expected that was going to happen. And so it's like, okay. And then you've also been considering making these changes and those changes. And now this is informing maybe those type of directions, or maybe not, who knows? But it starts stirring the energy, right? And then it's just a matter of like, okay, I'm just going to keep being with all the energy that's coming up. I could journal if I wanted to, or I can sit in meditation with it. And then the whatever the answers are for right now, will start coming to me like, okay, that's okay. So I'm deciding I'm going to do this then, because when I'm stirred to that level, I know there's a new decision that needs to be made. It's like, okay, you're just running on default a little bit right now. You're kind of exhausted from some of the stuff that happened earlier this month. It's time to realize like, okay, it's okay that whatever's happening is perfect, but now you're just getting that shot in the arm you needed that's going to help you with your next steps. So so yeah, I mean, always at the end of the day, um, typically, I mean, there's been periods in my life, even after I become more enlightened, where, yeah, I do not see it that way soon enough. But like, yeah, always like, okay, how's this working towards my good? And the more you train your mind that way, you definitely will see the results of that. You'll see no way how it could be good at first, right? Like your mind can't find it fully anyway. Might be able to find good aspects of it, but it won't be able to understand all why it's so good. But yeah, hey, in a few weeks, a few months, a few years, after a while, you eventually start realizing why it was so good. Things I was in total pain about earlier in my life, right? Oh, that's so horrible. And okay, but I wouldn't be champion the things I am today if those things didn't happen, right? I would not be making some of the differences I'm making in the world now if I hadn't endured that pain, that experience of that pain. So all of it is gold. All of it's good. It's a matter of how you respond to what's getting stirred, when things supposedly are going wrong, which the best thing that can happen to you is for things to go wrong sometimes. I mean, you just don't realize it. Like, oh, there must be something better, is the attitude to take, in my opinion. I know it must be something better because that didn't seem to come together. So there must be something better here for me and for everybody. And to just look for that or be with that, I guess. So that's how I kind of see that.
Awesome. Thanks for sharing. One of the things that's present for me around this, and one of the things that really shifted for me around this is for probably, so I'm 40 years old. So probably for 35 of those years, definitely 30, but maybe even 35. I lived in like radical independency. And
Mm,
then when I got into entrepreneurism and like personal development work, so that would have been when I was around 22, 23, 24, somewhere around there. And then it ramped up all the way to like 27, 28, 29, definitely in my 30s. There was like this philosophy that was like, all right, as long as I take radical responsibility for everything in my life, like if something happened, it's because I created it,
right.
and I I need to look at this and shift my perspective. And if something needs to be healed, then I need to heal it, or I need to let it go, or like whatever it is. And I had this realization because it just kind of it life itself kind of broke me over the past 3 or 4 years. It was like I had become so radically independent that I was disconnected from life itself. Doing all the things, all of the meditation, all of the coaching, all of the therapy, all of the workouts, all of the marketing campaigns. Like I was doing all of the things, but I was still like operating in independency, being like, okay, well, whatever my wife wants, I'm responsible for creating. Whatever my daughter needs, I'm responsible for creating. Yes, there's this thing beyond me that's working for my good. Great, that's over there. But at the end of the day, it's like it's just me, and I related to everything this way. And it sounds good and noble. And on one side, it did bring me healing to break, I guess you could say, the generational chains of maybe lineage trauma or whatever from my family lineage. I'm not discounting this, but it also gave me dry bones where I was just fucking tired.
Yeah.
And if anybody came into my life and said, you need to do more, I would say, fuck you. How about you go do
Right.
more?
I can see that right away, right? For sure. Yeah.
Like, like, yeah, you're just not doing, just, could I do more? And again, I'm like, could I do more? Yes, I could do more because I'm a unlimited being. So
Right.
yes, and but at the end of the day, I don't want to do anymore.
Right.
And then when life broke me and I started to rise, I started to realize there's a game of interdependence inside of the game of relationships. And and I used to always teach in relationships. 1 + 1 = 11. I'm a whole, an independent person. My wife, you're a whole, independent person. I don't need you, but I want you. You don't need me, but you want me. So as long as we can choose to communicate and we say we want to go north together, well, we can navigate that. And if you don't want to go north, then bring it to me and say, I don't want to go north, I want to go west. And then I have a decision to make. Do I want to go west with you? Are we going west forever? Do I not want to go west? Right. And this is all wrapped in this guise of like, well, this is a loving, conscious relationship because I love her so deeply. If she wants to go west and I want to go north, then I can just say, you go west, I'm going to go north. This is loving. And I'm not discounting what I'm saying either because there's some wisdom in it. But there's
Mm-hmm.
also wisdom in two people just admitting, here's my strengths, here's my weaknesses. This is who
Mm-hmm.
I am.
Mm-hmm.
Hey, you kind of just want to dance together? And like I'll pick up some shit when you can't and vice versa. And we're just gonna make a decision that we have each other's highest good and we're gonna do our best to walk that out for one another in interdependence. And in moments where I'm really struggling and I'm in my pit, I'm just gonna tell you, like, man, I'm feeling like, I don't know, like just unlovable. Can you just hold me? Or hey, I'm feeling like the work I'm doing just isn't landing. Can you just tell me I'm valuable? The old version of it, even like that's child stuff. Why would the child ever ask to, hey mom, hey dad, can you tell me I'm valuable? The kid in me never asked this shit because it was terrified to ask this. And
Right.
so the way that it coped with it was through performing. I'll perform. In fact, I will be so good at performing, I just won't ask anybody, including God, for anything. I'll just do it myself. And if somebody wants to help me along the way, I'll consider receiving it, but I don't need it. I'm just going to go do what I need to do. Now, here's the crazy thing. I look at this tree outside of my office. It's a palm tree. And I thought, you know, this tree and God, they're not independent of one another. I mean, on one side, they are. God's expressing is this tree. I mean, this tree isn't no thing, but it's also something. But they're also an interdependence because in order for this tree to express itself as a manifestation of God, well, it has a couple of things. God needs to provide the sunlight and the rain. The tree cannot make the sunshine and the tree cannot make it rain. Like something beyond it has to give it. Now, God so loved the world that he gave it free will. So God can't force this tree to receive the sunlight and turn it into oxygen, and it can't force it to receive water. Holy shit, this is interesting. I learned so much from nature. So this tree and life itself are in interdependence with one another. They're not in judgment. They're just there's an intelligence within this tree that is doing what it does. And there's
Mm-hmm.
something beyond it that is going before it, helping it. Again, if I apply the same interdependence with life itself for me, all of a sudden this weight that I've been carrying in independency, like has been set down and I'm just here. For the first time, like ever, I'm just here. And I'm completely okay and fine right here. I don't need to go anywhere. There's a few places I want to go. There's a few places I feel called to go. There's a few places I'm still like, "Ah, fuck, I don't know. Do I have it within me to actually go there? I think I do, but I don't know.
Right.
But even in that, I can trust in the interdependency of all of it. I can have a conversation with myself or with the divine through all of this every day as I'm just that little ball, that sun being pulled through the galaxy. I'm not pulling myself through the galaxy. Something beyond me is pulling me through the galaxy. Something beyond you is pulling you through the galaxy. Something beyond both of us is pulling the person who's even listening to this podcast through their own galaxy. But it's like, will I actually choose to use my free will to live in interdependence with?
Mhm.
And what if I chose it? This is where I start rediscovering a lot more of who I am. And not only that, the game becomes a lot more fun.
Right. Right. Oh yeah. Oh yeah, for sure. I really appreciate that because that isn't usually the viewpoint of most people, right, in life. But there is this hard edge of if we talk about men especially of I just need to handle it. I just need to take care of business, right? There is that programming, for a lot of us guys that are, especially, I don't know about the newest guys, but it is still there, I'm sure. But, especially as 40s, 50s, whatever, and beyond, we have that. Like, yeah, you just deal with it, you get through it. If things are crappy, whatever, you just deal with it, like it's not an idea of like, and that there's a sense of pressure like I've got to make it happen. I've got to provide for my family. I've got to protect my wife. I got to make sure she's protected more than anything and nourished and provided for and yeah, of course love her, but like sometimes that intimacy for some guys is hard because they're just so fiercely trying to get the protecting the foundation of existing and providing, right? And like this idea of like let's play, let's have fun, let's just hang out together, and maybe I need your help too. Maybe I need you to tell me that you adore me and love me sometimes. And like to be that vulnerable is extremely hard for men. It's very difficult for many men. I think that's somewhere where I have more of a strength. Mine has been more of like being willing to wield my masculine edge. Because it's it's for some people it's fine. Like they're like, okay, good, But other people, it's masculine edge. It's as you know from your own experience, it's too much. They're like for that in their opinion, right? In for their vibration, they're like, oh my God. Like I'll say things sometimes, even to clients to this day. I'll say, all right, it's like this, it's like that. Whatever. I'm just really in. It's like really, I see it more as intense love, really. Like I'm just trying to shake up their consciousness and it's intense love. But the person receiving might feel like they're being attacked. Like, oh my God, I can't believe in the things I have to digest now with the frequency you brought that with then I'm like, and then then part of me feels like, oh my God, maybe it is too much, and then so this whole dance of is this masculine edge too much? Comes up. Like these are some of the considerations that come up for guys. And I mean, don't be too masculine and all those messages and stuff. And I think, this whole what you were talking about, like interweaving a little bit, is just I have been that guy often, Yeah, I've created it all. I created every little sparkle of everything that's happening in my life, basically. But at the same time, I haven't created any of it, right? I mean, like, it all comes from a different, the infinite source. So, but there's a sense of like, I would tell people to come to my events. If they come late, I says, sorry, that one's on me. That one's on me. I could have been clearer. So even things like that, people are doing things to you. It's more freeing to err on the side of responsibility for most of us than to go the other way. But I could see where if you've been so radical, like I don't even need God. I mean, I don't need it. I'm just on my own. Screw y'all. Like like the healing that would come from being like, no, I really need the support is so helpful. I mean, that's something like so many people are go-getters that want to be independent and figure it out on their own. They need that healing, like especially guys, right? Like okay, you could maybe, yeah, you can do things on your own. You're going to survive. Maybe you'll thrive some, but there's so much more. Like you say, the 1 + 1 = 11. I love it. 11's my favorite number. I mean, so, we want to bring that together because it's going to help. It's going to help everybody. So I think there's the message that, yes, you're radically responsible for your life, but you also got to give yourself some grace, for God's sake. It's okay to be human. It's okay that, that you're vulnerable. It's okay, get over it. Kind of like that's what I want to say anyway. Let's get over it. Let's, open up and trust, trust that you can let the sense of letting your guard down. Like if I let my guard down and then you say I'm shit, then they might destroy me because I might believe that. Then I can't get back up. That's all part of why you wouldn't want to ask your parents of all people, right? They're like, you are not a favorable child. Like, oh my God. I don't, yeah, right. That'd be horrible, right? So, of course, we're not going to go to them. And then we feel like we can't go to anybody. It gets projected to other people then as we go forward. So yeah, I mean, helping the men, especially, and